the hiker who radioed for help and was never found. Unsolved wilderness mystery. They say the wilderness is unforgiving, a place where silence carries weight, where shadows stretch longer than the day, and where even the most experienced adventurers are only one misstep away from tragedy. But sometimes tragedy doesn't leave evidence behind. Sometimes it leaves only questions. This is the story of a hiker, an ordinary man with a love for the outdoors, who set off into the wild and sent out a desperate radio call for help. A call that was heard loud and clear. Rescue teams scrambled. Helicopters lifted off. Search dogs were deployed. But when they arrived, he was gone. Vanished. Without a trace. If chilling true mysteries grip you the way they grip us, hit subscribe right now, drop a like, and join the discussion in the comments. Your insight could help unravel this mystery. Because tonight, we're retracing his final known steps, analyzing the haunting details of his last transmission, and uncovering how someone can call for help and yet vanish before help ever arrives. It was early autumn, the kind of season where the forest is alive with color, where the crunch of fallen leaves beneath your boots is constant, and where the wind carries both beauty and warning. The hiker, let's call him Daniel, was not inexperienced. Friends described him as steady, responsible, and prepared. He wasn't reckless, he wasn't careless, and he knew the terrain. Daniel carried a pack with essentials: water, food, a map, first aid supplies, and most importantly, a two-way radio. He wasn't the type to vanish into the woods without letting people know where he was headed. He checked in often with fellow operators, almost like breadcrumbs left behind for anyone who might need to trace his path. And in the beginning, everything went as planned. By late afternoon, clouds were rolling in. The forecast had hinted at sudden weather shifts, nothing unusual for this stretch of rugged wilderness. Daniel's radio crackled at first with casual check-ins. He told a fellow operator he was making good progress, that he'd camp near a ridge before nightfall. His voice was calm, confident, but then, hours later, that calmness shattered. The distress call. At 7:43 p.m., a chilling transmission broke through static. Daniel's voice, frantic, breathless. "Emergency. I need help. Coordinates." Static drowned the rest. Then again, clearer this time. "I can't. There's something wrong. Please, send someone." The operator on the other end froze for a moment. He later described Daniel's tone as urgent, terrified even, like a man caught in something spiraling beyond his control. The operator tried to steady his voice, urging Daniel to repeat his location. For a few seconds, the radio crackled with half-words, fragments of numbers, pieces of a coordinate. And then, silence. No further word. No confirmation. No goodbye. To those who heard it live, the moment was chilling. It was not the call of a man mildly lost or casually injured. It was the sound of someone in imminent danger. The search. Within the hour, a coordinated rescue began. Rangers and search teams rushed toward the ridge Daniel had mentioned. Floodlights pierced the trees, helicopters scanned with thermal imaging, and K-9 units combed the terrain. The conditions were rough. A cold front swept in faster than expected, bringing mist that clung to the trees and obscured visibility. Rescuers said their flashlights barely cut through the fog, giving the forest an eerie, suffocating stillness. Yet, even in these difficult conditions, they expected something. A campsite, a dropped item, a footprint in the mud. But there was nothing. No campsite, no gear, no sign of Daniel. What unsettled rescuers most was this. The signal strength suggested Daniel had been close. Very close. The triangulation placed him within a 2-mile radius of the search grid. Yet even after scouring the area for 3 nights straight, the forest remained silent. One search team member described it later. It was like chasing a voice that didn't want to be found. We had his words, his panic, his exact cry for help, but no Daniel. It was as if the forest had opened up and swallowed him. Dogs picked up faint trails but lost them abruptly. Thermal scans revealed nothing but trees and cold ground. And by the 4th day, hope began to waver. Strange details. What made Daniel's disappearance stand out wasn't just the lack of physical evidence. It was the inconsistencies that followed. The radio call had been strong, almost too strong, for the terrain he was supposedly in. Operators later argued whether interference or atmospheric conditions had distorted the transmission. But if the signal was boosted somehow, why did it cut out so suddenly? Then there was his tone. Experienced hikers, even when injured, tend to stay calm and precise. Daniel's words were broken, chaotic, almost as though he wasn't just lost, but shocked. Something had startled him, rattled him to his core. Finally, there was the timing. He had checked in less than 2 hours before with casual, steady updates. What could have changed so drastically in that short span of time? Theories begin. In cases like this, theories multiply. Some suggested Daniel had fallen, perhaps into a ravine or crevice too deep for search teams to spot. Others proposed he was injured, tried to keep moving, and wandered beyond the grid. But other theories were darker. Some whispered about foul play, an encounter with someone or something that cut his life short before help could arrive. And then there were stranger speculations. Listeners who heard fragments of his final call swore his voice carried more than fear. It carried shock. As though he had seen something unexpected, something he couldn't explain. Was it a wild animal, a sudden weather event, or something we cannot name? The case remains one of the most haunting wilderness disappearances ever recorded. A man prepared, equipped, and capable, who did everything right, including carrying a radio and calling for help. Yet still, he vanished into silence. Search teams found no evidence of foul play, no gear, no body, just a distress call that led to nowhere, with a voice echoing across static, unanswered, leaving us to wonder how someone can cry out for rescue and yet never be found. Stay with me where we'll dissect every theory, accident, foul play, and even the unsettling possibilities beyond reason. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, because your perspective might be the key to understanding this unsolved wilderness mystery. The radio call was clear. The distress was undeniable. And yet, when search teams arrived, Daniel was gone. No footprints, no equipment, no body. It left behind not just an empty trail, but a haunting puzzle that has tormented investigators, friends, and strangers alike. To understand how a man could vanish so completely, we must sift through the theories. Each one offers a glimpse of possibility, but none bring closure. A tragic accident. The simplest explanation, and often the one authorities lean toward, is accident. The wilderness is a place of hidden dangers. Steep ravines, loose rock, sudden drops hidden by leaves. It's entirely possible Daniel slipped, fell, and was injured beyond the reach of rescuers. But here's the problem. Accidents leave traces. A broken branch, a piece of gear, a torn jacket. Even bodies, over time, are found by searchers, hunters, or hikers. In Daniel's case, nothing. Not a scrap. Even stranger, his radio call implied awareness. He wasn't unconscious. He wasn't disoriented. He was alert enough to reach out for help. And if he was able to make that call, why couldn't he hold the line just long enough for rescuers to pinpoint him? An accident may sound reasonable, but in this case, it explains little. He kept moving. Another theory suggests Daniel panicked. Fear can override training. Instead of staying put and waiting, he may have tried to push forward, either to find shelter or to reach a perceived landmark. In the chaos, he might have traveled far outside the initial search radius, losing himself deeper in the woods. It happens more often than people think. Victims convinced they're close to safety when in reality, every step carries them further into danger. But again, the scale of the search was enormous. Rangers combed miles beyond his last known coordinates. Helicopters scanned vast stretches of terrain. If Daniel had kept moving, some sign of him should have appeared. A dropped item, an abandoned fire, footprints pressed into soft earth. Yet there was only silence. It's as if he walked out of the known world and into something else. Foul play. Not all disappearances are natural. Some investigators have considered the possibility that Daniel wasn't alone, that he crossed paths with someone in those woods, someone who didn't want him to leave alive. There have been documented cases of hikers encountering hostile individuals deep in the wilderness. People living off-grid, far from society, who see strangers as threats. Or worse, predators who use the forest as a hunting ground. The frantic tone in Daniel's final call could support this. His words were broken, panicked, not just injured but scared, shocked, as if something or someone had appeared unexpectedly. But if foul play was involved, why was there no evidence? No signs of struggle, no disturbed ground, no abandoned belongings. Did someone carry everything away, ensuring Daniel left no trace? It's chilling to consider, but in a place as vast as the wilderness, it's not impossible. Nature itself. Some believe the forest claimed Daniel in a different way. Predators roam these mountains, bears, cougars, even wolves in some regions. A sudden attack could explain the panic in his voice. But predators leave signs, tracks, blood, drag marks, and search teams found none. Others point to sudden natural events. A rock slide, a sinkhole, even hypothermia, which can cause confusion and disorientation. These could explain why Daniel called for help, then vanished. But again, we return to the same riddle. Nature doesn't erase people completely. Even years later, remnants are found. Bones, clothing, objects resistant to decay. Yet Daniel remains absent. The unexplainable. And then, there are theories that step beyond reason. Listeners who replay Daniel's final call swear his tone carried not just fear, but bewilderment, as though he had seen something unexpected, something unnatural. Was it a light in the forest? A sound that didn't belong? Or something stranger? Something that doesn't fit into the neat categories of accident or crime? Wilderness mysteries often breed legends. Some whisper about hidden caves, others about government facilities buried in the mountains, and still others about phenomena science has yet to explain. To some, Daniel's disappearance feels less like misfortune, and more like he stumbled into something not meant to be found. Why this case haunts us, what makes Daniel's story so disturbing, is how it defies the ordinary rules. Most missing hiker cases eventually close. Bodies are found. Belongings turn up. Time delivers answers. But here, the forest gave nothing back. Not in the days after. Not in the months after. Not even in the years since. Instead, we're left with fragments. A man walking into the woods. A radio call filled with panic. And then silence. That silence has become the loudest part of the story. Echoes in the static. The operator who received Daniel's final words has replayed them in his head countless times. He said, "It wasn't just fear. It was surprise. Like he was staring at something he couldn't make sense of. And before I could even ask what, it was gone." Imagine that. Being the last person to hear a man alive. Hearing the terror in his voice. Knowing he was close enough for his words to carry through the static. And still being powerless to reach him. That is the chilling weight of this case. Daniel's disappearance remains unsolved. His name lingers on missing persons lists. His story whispered among hikers and investigators. His voice, recorded in fragments, echoing as a reminder of how thin the line is between safety and oblivion. Did he fall? Did someone silence him? Or did the wilderness hold secrets darker than we dare imagine? We may never know. Backhand index pointing right if this mystery unsettled you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Could it have been a tragic accident, a crime in the wild, or something stranger? Don't forget to subscribe and like, because we will bring you another case which is chilling and that keeps the mind reflecting. Together, we'll keep asking the questions the silence refuses to answer.